Кедр, я один. Как слышите меня? Буду вам транслировать команды. Прием. Минутная готовность. Кедр, я Заря один. Внимание, минутная готовность. Минутная готовность.
Заря один, я Кедр. Вас понял, минутная готовность. Занимал исходное положение.
What's going on? It's N.A.S.R, and we're back with more Kerbal Space Program. And today, we have a very special stream. It is the 59th anniversary of the first human spaceflight. So, I am going to try to recreate it with my very own version of the Vostok, which I call the Sarat. Again, all of my spacecraft have names from my conlang. Vostok means east, Sarat means east. So, I tried to keep the design as close to the original as possible. So, yeah, this is gonna be a good stream. And what you're watching is footage of the original Vostok launch in on April 12th, 1961. So, yeah, I thought I'd put something special together today. So, yeah, this is gonna be fun. First off, how's my stream doing? Let's see. It's like a couple of you guys watching. Got my beer in hand. I'm ready to do this. So, yeah. So let's get started. So this is the Vostok. This is the craft that I'm trying to replicate. I think I got mine pretty close to this, actually. So, yeah. Let's go to the vehicle assembly building and, you know, show it off. So, here we go. This is the Sarat. This is my first attempt at a manned mission. I've done a couple simulations of this, and they all worked out fine, but this is my first time sending up a manned mission, or in this case, a Kerbal'd mission. So, yeah. Let's get on with it, shall we? First off, I'll show off the craft itself. There's the business end. I think I got it pretty close to the original launcher. And of course, we're gonna send up the brave Jebediah Kerman for this one. Let's make sure that my staging is right here. Throw that down there. Alright, so let's see. First stage, launch clamps, jettison, second stage, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Everything looks good. So, let's get started. Go ahead and launch it. Might help if I turn the sound on the game on. Hopefully I don't run into any technical problems here. All right. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Had a little issue getting my volume mixer to work. So, I'm going to launch it from the desert launch site today because the original Vostok was launched from Baikonur Cosmodrome, which is in the middle of the desert in Kazakhstan. For reference, that's about 1,400 miles away from Moscow. It was a super secret location. Nobody knew about it happening. Even the Soviet public didn't even know it was going on. As a matter of fact, most Soviet space launches were kept secret from the public until they were a success. They never advertised their failures. So up until the collapse of the Soviet Union, we didn't know how many times the Soviet Union actually failed at its launches. So let's pull the map up. Get rid of some of these extra craft that we don't need here. So we're launching from the desert launch site, and the goal is to do at least one complete orbit and try to put this thing down close to where it launched. So, yeah. Let's do this. Are you ready, Jebediah? He looks like he's happy. He looks like he just wants me to stop talking and get on with it. Doll, how you doing, Paul? I see you both on Doll and Paul. I see you're on both the platforms today. All right. Throttle up. And let's do it. Release the launch clamps. Man, this is really killing my frame rate. See how our pilot's doing. Get a wide view. Oh yeah. All right. Go ahead. Begin turning this bad boy. You know, I totally should have done the Soviet anthem for this, and that I regret that. That's a totally missed opportunity for this moment. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly turning it towards the east because I want to go ahead and get a jump on that gravity turn. We'll go ahead and throttle it back a little bit. Just a little bit. Slow that spin down. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and point it prograde. Kind of overdid it with the gravity turn a little bit, but that's alright. Let's do a little more acceleration to give it more vertical speed. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in on this for the awesome angle that I'm about to have here. Let's see. This is the inside. It's pretty close to what the actual Vostok looked like. I think they did a great job when they added this on the Making History DLC. All right, we're coming up on our Jettison here. I want to get the perfect view to watch these boosters separate. So any minute these are gonna run out of fuel. We're gonna watch them separate. Got a little shock heating going on. And we have separation. Let's see, we're about 26,000 meters up. See what my apoapsis is. Looks like I'm just shy of coming up on space interface right now. But my speed is going up. I'm gonna go ahead, increase my speed a little bit so I can get some more vertical velocity. Looks like we're climbing pretty good now. And cool, my apoapsis is above the atmosphere. Very cool. It's gonna burn this core stage. I think we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to put it in about 150 kilometer high orbit. I think that's a good orbital. I think that's a good orbital altitude. I'm gonna burn this engine until I get out of the atmosphere. Then I'm gonna ditch it. Cool, looks like I got a new follower. Bait and Jury, looks like. Thanks for following. Fate Injury. Oh, okay, Fate Injury. Alright. I had to think about that for a minute. Alright, we're coming up on, we're coming into the Carmen line now. Or the Kerman line, rather. Get it? Because it's Kerbal. Ha 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 ha. Fatal Injury. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I had to think about that for a minute. Fatal Injury. Pfft, derp. Okay, yeah, alright, I had to think about it. I couldn't really read it. I was tweaking my Streamlabs earlier, and I guess the changes didn't take. So, yeah. Alright. Well, at least I know that it's showing me when I have Twitch subscribers. That's cool. 'Cause I only had it set for YouTube. I might have to do some, I might have to make some changes to that to get it to show up. Alright, so we're out of the atmosphere now. We're 70 kilometers is about where the Carmen line is for Kerbal Space Program. And it looks like my apoapsis is above 200 kilometers, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill this engine. Kill the engine and ditch the bearing, because we don't need it anymore. Alright. Check on our pilot, see how everything looks from his point of view. Oh, look at that. We got some stars to look at now. Very cool. Now this thing down at his feet, this was on the actual Vostok too, and on the Vostok. It's called a Vzor, V-Z-O-R, and back then they didn't really have like computers, you know, like that we know of to do the kind of navigation. So what they would do to do their deorbit burns and to make sure they were oriented properly was they would get the Earth to show up in this thing, and this thing kind of had like a lens on it. And what would happen was the Earth would be in the center, and you would see the atmosphere along the edges. And basically that meant that you were lined up for re-entry burn. Now, Yuri Gagarin himself didn't actually control this spacecraft. It was actually controlled by radio from the ground, because they were concerned, it being the first human spaceflight, that Yuri Gagarin would actually go crazy in space. So they, in order to get manual control of the spacecraft, he had to do all kinds of procedures to unlock the device that would have allowed him access to it. So, the first spaceflight was completely radio controlled. Yuri Gagarin was just, along for the ride, and they didn't want him to, essentially screw the mission up by panicking. But he kept his cool. He was actually really exhilarated and excited to be in space. If you watch the actual old footage from it, he was actually recorded, during liftoff going, "Let's go." Like, he was ready to go. All right. So, let's see how long we got. 4 minutes to apoapsis. I can do a time acceleration on that. But there's no need for us to carry this core stage anymore, so go ahead and ditch that. And that's just going to fall back to Earth, or back to Kerbin. It looks like we're going to reach our apoapsis on the other side of the planet. Or on the dark side. Yeah, it's slightly on the dark side. So this is where we need to do our orbital burn. It's about right here. So we're going to go ahead and time accelerate to that point. Go ahead and put my prograde marker on that way, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my RCS on once we get there, about right there. I want to get about 20 seconds. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so all this debris is going to fall back to Earth, but spacecraft, we're going to put it into orbit. And that's what this upper stage is for. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for watching. Yeah, this is, I'm actually a huge space buff. I know, a lot of people know me from Minecraft, but I love space. Gotta do this burn. Gotta do this burn. Gotta do this burn. Almost missed the window there for a second. So, those of you who don't know anything about orbital mechanics, the time you want to fire your engine to get into orbit is when you're at your highest point in the trajectory, which is called your apoapsis. So as you can see, I'm burning my engine, and it's lifting me up. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and kill my engine, go to my prograde marker, and I'm actually gonna manually aim this thing here, because I need to point up a little bit more. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get this above the horizon. Fire my engine. There we go. That's where I want it pointed. And that's because I missed my window by like 2 seconds. That's how precise you have to be with this. Yeah. A little bit out of control. It's funny how, like, when I do this stuff when I'm not on stream, I actually do a much better job than I wasn't on stream. Alright. No worries, though. Looks like we're going to get into orbit. That periapsis up. Need that above the atmosphere. There we go. Just in time for the sunset, too. So, we're in orbit now. A little odd of an orbit, but it's still in orbit. That's right. Right, David. We gotta spend that Delta V. All this other stuff is debris. And if I turn the debris view on, and I highlight it, you'll see that all this other stuff is going to fall right back down to the planet. That's like the fairings and the core stage and all that other stuff. That's going to fall back towards the planet. But because this is the engine that put it into orbit, it's not going to fall back towards the planet. So I'm going to ditch this stage because we don't need it anymore. Check my monopropellant, my electric charge. Looks like everything's good. I'm gonna go ahead and separate myself. Turn on my antennas. Go ahead and turn the lights on. Turn our cabin lights on. Very cool. And kiss that engine, kiss that third stage goodbye, because it's going to stay in orbit. I'm going to go ahead and point this thing retrograde, because the original, because I have my solar panels on the bottom of this thing. Now, the original Vostok, it had radiators all around it, and they did the same thing, and I kind of try to duplicate this with an action group with motors, and using the Infernal Robotics mod. Now, the newer versions of KSP, you know, they include robotic parts, but this, when I built this, it didn't. So, I'm gonna go ahead and show that off. Oh, yeah. So the original Vostok, the radiators could do that as well. And the reason for that is when you're in space, you don't have any way of convectively getting rid of heat. Now, when you're on Earth, you can use the ambient air to bleed heat off. Oh, Fatal Injury says, have separating parts ever killed anyone or landed on a building? Actually, yes. In China, several incidents of have happened of like Long March rockets dropping their stages on nearby villages. Yes, actually, that's the reason that Cape Canaveral's on the Florida East Coast, because you want to be on the east coast of the landmass, because you can take advantage of the spin of the planet and launch in the direction of the spin, because it requires less fuel to launch in that direction. But the reason it's on the east coast is so it can drop its stages into the ocean. But in Russia, they actually dropped their stages in Siberia, and in China, their launch complex is actually in like central China. So they'll actually have incidents where they drop the stages into quote unquote uninhabited areas. But if you go on YouTube, you can actually find video of smoking stages and rocket stages and engines being like just having fallen on people's houses and stuff. But yes, that has happened. To my knowledge, I don't think it's a stage has actually killed anybody, but it has done property damage. There has been damage done by it. And that's part of the reason why China is moving their launch complex to the ocean, is so they can drop their stages on the ocean and not worry about killing anybody. Alright, so let's check the orbit. Looking good so far. Very cool. This is probably going to be a quick stream. But, because it's not going to take me long to do this whole mission. But, yeah, there's the third stage right there. It's already got some distance. But yeah, the original Vostok was not very big. It was about the size of a car, and it took a huge rocket and over 1 million horsepower to be able to put it into orbit at the time. I'm gonna go ahead and time accelerate a little bit so I can get to the sun side of the planet. Looks like my batteries are staying charged pretty well. Like Jebediah Kerman's having a good time. He's not worried at all. He's completely confident in my ability to put him down. So, let's see where we are in the orbit. Where I need to do my deorbit burn. Looks like the desert launch site is about to go into night. So I am going to try to put it down around here somewhere on land. Now the Russians, they always put their spacecraft down on land. They were always designed to land on land. The Americans always put theirs down on water. But the Russians were very paranoid about the technology falling into the hands of foreigners, so they always planned for it to land in Russia somewhere. Justin says either that or he's so thrilled about this adventure that he doesn't care whether he survives or not. Well, he is the first Kerbal in my game instance to achieve orbit. So yes, that is something to be proud of and excited about. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look inside, and yeah, they have even the details are like pretty accurate. They had a little camera right there because there was a camera in the Vostok. You have your nav ball right there. Actually, there is a way for me to show how the interior of this thing actually looked. Or actually looks right now. So let me get out of interior view here. And there's actually a way for me to show off kind of a cutaway of what the actual interior looks like. So there he is. He's just riding around. Oh yeah, David. I don't know why it thinks I'm playing Minecraft. I guess I forgot to set that on the stream for the Facebook stream. Oh well. I'll correct it later, no problem. I changed it everywhere else. Alright, so put that away. Cool. Alright, so now we gotta try to land this thing. So let's see. So periapsis is ideally where I want to do my burn. But we want to get it on this continent. So How low is that? 122. Okay, so we want to make it... we kind of want to make it shallow. So we got to try to shoot for the desert launch site to get it on this continent. Because you have to keep in mind, atmospheric friction is going to slow it down and bring that landing site further west. Alright, so we're pointed retrograde. So, in about 30 seconds, I'm going to fire my retros. David says, I was finishing the roof of my apartment building. Oh, you're talking about in are you talking about in Minecraft or in real life? Yes, the Kerbal face animations are indeed great. It's even better when they're screaming in terror. Alright. Oh, the music is appropriate. It's very appropriate for what's about to happen. Alright. Getting ready to fire our retros. Go ahead and bring the game sounds down a little bit. See our periapsis dropping now. It's now below the atmosphere. We want to get that on the ground. And then that should be good enough to get us on this continent. Alright. We might land in the water. I have a feeling that the atmospheric drag is going to slow us down too much. So, when we get to about 90 kilometers up, that's when I'm going to ditch this service module. Yeah, cue up the music here. Go ahead and slow down that time acceleration. All right. Get ourselves oriented, because we're about to re-enter the atmosphere. So once that hits 80, I know the stream's probably obscuring it, but I'm gonna hit that in about 10 seconds, and I'm gonna ditch the service module. All right. 82,000. Trying to impart a little spin there. Alright. Ditch the service module. Now, one of the way that the Vostok re-entered the atmosphere is what's called a ballistic re-entry trajectory. That means it had no control over how it fell through the atmosphere. That's why it was spherical shaped. It relied entirely on the weight of the occupants and the stuff inside of it to orient it correctly. It had no aerodynamic lift at all, so it just kind of fell like a marble into a pool. If you were to take a marble and throw it into a pool, that's kind of how this thing re-entered the atmosphere. The Americans, though, they designed their spacecraft to take advantage of aerodynamic lift. That's why they're shaped like bells, and they have like a flat bottom instead of a spherical shape. And we're about to make contact with the atmosphere. And atmospheric interface. There we go. And as this thing enters the atmosphere, you're going to start seeing it like flail around as atmospheric drag starts to act upon it. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit. And there you go. The atmosphere is starting to act on it. You start to see re-entry heat. Oh, he looks very excited. See what this looks like from his perspective. Another thing I love about this game is you can actually go inside the cockpit and see what he's seeing. Oh man, that's making me sick. Oh, he's excited. You can see him just ready. He's ready to be home. He's ready to be back on Kerbin. And there's the service module. And you can see how much atmospheric drag has just separated the two distance-wise. You can see how much this thing is slowed down relative to this other part here. I don't know if you can see it in the stream there. But those are going to burn up in the atmosphere. You'll probably start hearing those explode or wink out. And it looks like we're going to land in the ocean, so... But we're not too far away from land. We can send a rescue ship out for him. He'll be fine. We're about 20,000 meters up now. I'm going to deploy my chute at about 3,000 meters. Go ahead and time accelerate a little bit. Alright. Not long now. Yeah, David, I saw that. They're working on a sequel to KSP. KSP 2 is... I've done a lot of research on that, and that's going to be so awesome. They're actually going to have interstellar travel. They're going to have better graphics, all kinds of neat little things that I'm just really looking forward to. They're going to have metallic hydrogen drives, all that good stuff. All right, we only got about 400 meters to go. See what Splashdown looks from a little friend's perspective here. Like 200 meters. Not long now. And Splashdown. And we safely landed. And with that, Jebediah is going to be hailed as a hero. He'll get a ticker tape parade. He'll get to meet the premier. Be whisked around the world. Very cool. So, we're going to go ahead and recover the vessel and call that a successful mission. Awesome. And Jebediah is ready for his next assignment. That mission was a total success. Had a little bumpy start, but we got him home safely. And yeah, that's the end of my first mission. So yeah, so now, of course, with every one of my missions, I of course have to go and of course have to go into my spreadsheet here. I think this is going to be a tradition of sorts, where after every mission I update the spreadsheet. Here we go. Where are you? Where are you? Alright, so we're going to put that in. Sarat 1. (4/12/2020). I don't remember. I'll have to put the date in for that later. Desert launch site. Oh, okay, these are the planned missions. Oh, get rid of that then. Just call this one a success. First successful Kerbal in space. Very cool. I wish I had recorded the would have recorded the splashdown site. Actually, I think it was showing that anyway. So yeah, I'll have to check the video later and see if it recorded it. But yeah, so that was successful. So we're just gonna go ahead and save this as Sarat 2, and it'll be ready for the next mission. Awesome. Well, it was a short stream tonight. I just want to do that mission. Thought it would be a really cool thing to do on the anniversary of the first human spaceflight. What's the text on his lander? It is NAKK, and that is the communist Soviet-style country that I made up for this series, and it actually comes from something I made up a long time ago, but I'll go into detail about that later, and what it stands for. But expect to see more missions from this glorious motherland in the future. But yeah, so successful mission, successful stream. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here soon. But before I do that, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got other stuff coming up. Tuesday, I got another KSP mission. I think I'm going to test out some rocket. And then I'm doing some Minecraft streams on Thursdays and Saturdays. So definitely go check that out. And I think I'm going to be bringing back my PvP series on Thursday. So definitely tune in for that. That's always fun to watch. If you haven't checked out my PvP streams on before I started doing them on YouTube, I basically charge headfirst into servers that are dominated by teenagers and tweens and get my ass kicked by them. It's hilarious to watch and good fun for everybody. So yeah, tune in for that. And with that, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys for watching. Take it easy.